Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you happen to be watching this video in Tokyo, coming at you with a very special look into the Metal Gear Solid DLC pack since the servers are still down and we don't have any community levels to look at the moment. Thought I'd take a look at this. Now, the pack was released December 23rd, 2008 in North America. A couple days later in Europe and Japan. It's available still on the on web storefront and in console PS3 storefront for $6 US or whatever the equivalent is in your region. Because of cross purchase, you can still play it on PS4 if you get it through one of those sources. There are 5 story mode levels and 1 VR challenge level in the kit. 11 trophies, of which 10 are still obtainable. The 11th trophy, Paint Sharer, requires that you publish a level with the Paintinator in it, but because all the trophies are tracked through LBP 1 and those servers have been down since 2021, you'll no longer be able to pick that trophy up. And multiplayer is not required at all for this set. You can get all of the prize bubbles no problem with just one player. Now the set does give us a lot of prizes, a lot of stuff, a really fantastic material set. I think this is one of my favorite like full DLC material sets. All the DLCs have got a couple of materials that I do happen to like, but this one has got the best altogether all-around set. We've got this top row that lends itself really well to like military style environments, near future style environments. They look good. They're not too bright and poppy. The only issue is with this gecko outer skin material where you can see how it wraps in on the edges, and you do have to build it fairly large to get rid of that effect. Using the UV tool or the bevel tweaker, the bevel remover and the material tweaker doesn't really help with that. But if you do build up with it, if you do make it like nice and big, it does look really great. We've got this middle row here, and it's like, I like this middle row a lot. Like, these are really nice materials. My big issue with these is that they're all listed as Middle Eastern, like Middle Eastern lattice, Middle Eastern render, Middle Eastern stone relief, and Middle Eastern tiles. And I mean, first, it would be nice just to have a little bit more specificity, like what country or region these are supposed to represent, but also because these were based on the work that the Metal Gear Solid 4 on-site research team did, and they did their research in Morocco, which is super duper not the Middle East. Shout out to Soup for giving me that information. I super appreciate it, but like, you know, it's, you know, why are they called Middle Eastern? Just call them Moroccan. And we've got the VR set here. I like the VR set a lot, but they were made for Little Big Planet 1's lighting and rendering engine, which means in Little Big Planet 3 in particular, they are really bright in those outlines. You can kind of deal with that by dimming down the lights, but you've got to bring the lighting down really a lot to kind of get rid of it to the point where it looks nice. We don't really see them anymore, and it's a bit of a shame because they are really cool. Now, we've got the decorations. The decorations are very much in that military theme. They do look nice in environments that support them. They do tend to be pretty fat on the Z-axis, which means it will clip through objects ahead of them, so you want to keep that in mind. The stickers are a bit of a mixed bag for me. I really like these more generic stickers. The animal stickers look really nice. They're nice and poppy. The damage stickers here are really cool looking. The bullet holes, not so much for me, but I love these wall cracks. I love the wall chips. They give a nice weathering look to buildings that you're putting in your environment, and they're just like all around really cool. But you get into issues, I find, when the stickers start to get a little bit more specific to Metal Gear. Now here's still where we've got like the logos here, and they're not so obvious. They do work in for signage. I like this one a lot. It's kind of like something that Nihei Tsutomu would use in Blame or in Biomega. But then you've got like the Big Boss sticker, the Metal Gear and Solid Snake stickers. Like, who's gonna be using those? Like, what would you use them for? And similar to these with like the cartoon stickers are kind of cute, and like you could do fun things with those, but do you really need a realistic old Snake sticker and like the arms and legs, like, or the Metal Gear, like the Rex stickers? Like, what are these? Who's the market for these? They're just there, you know? Now, I did put together a couple of sample sets that were using these materials, decorations, and stickers. We've got like a nice little marketplace set here that you can see how the tiling in particular looks really good as a trim, but all of the quote-unquote Middle Eastern the Middle Eastern materials, they do look really nice. Hi Snake, how's it going? Did a bit of a bunker, kind of military bunker set here. The embossed cardboard, like I love the embossed cardboard. A lot of times the more detailed materials, and they tend to look overly busy when you build them large, but the embossed cardboard, when it's small or when it's large, and it just looks really, really nice. And then we've got like our standard BR set, and we just like never see these anymore, and it's a real shame. You notice that I did need to turn the lighting down quite a lot to get the edges to be not quite as bright, but it does look really nice. So along with all of those materials and such, we also got a costume. There's only one costume that was given with the set itself, the Gurlukovich soldier. The rest of them were sold separately, but all of the costumes are really highly detailed. They look really, really cool. They are all skin costumes, which means like not shirts, not pants. Only Meryl gets a pair of pants because she's a girl, but like so is Screaming Mantis, so I don't know about that. But it always makes me kind of wonder a little bit, like, if you're wearing a skin outfit, like, are you naked? Like, I don't really like to think about it. Now, along with all of that, and those things I felt were all pretty useful, but we also do pick up a lot of collected objects, and collected objects are always a bit of a mixed bag for me because they tend to look a little bit too specific to where they're from for me to really want to use them all that often. One that I did really like, though, is in the, we'll see it coming up here, but the bunker, this is actually a paint can. You can see it in the detail. All of the detailing here is really great. The tea bag as well. It's supposed to be sandbags, but we talked a lot about in stream how the kind of the mood of LBP from one was something that kids were making with things around the house, and then it moved quickly into a more like a video game type of situation. And this, I think, is still retaining a little bit of that old we did it ourselves, we put it together ourselves kind of feeling. The launcher's fine. Like, it works. You can't say that about everything in the set, but it does work. The turrets as well, like, I think the turrets got a really nice look to them. They function perfectly well. They look good in, military more environments, but they're really good as stationary enemies. The drop-down turret, though, not a fan. It's like it's very big and kludgy, and it just looks kind of ugly. But now this platform, this is something that I wish the community had leaned into a little bit more. We saw a lot of Paintinator usage in things like fighting enemies and in like getting doors to open, but more things that would make it work with the environment to allow for more platforming, I think would have been really, really cool. The pop-up turret is fine. The Super Sentry turret, unfortunately, is like completely broken in LBP 3. It's fine in LBP 1 and LBP 2, but the emitters are like emitting directly into the laser pointers, and no matter what I did, I could not get it to work. And that's a bit of a shame because it makes a really, really beautiful spread. Got the Striker tank. The Striker tank it's a tank. I mean, it's a fine tank. It looks nice, but, you know, whatever. And the Striker Rex, I like the Striker Rex because it is kind of like a multi-part enemy. It is very large, though. It's like 2 layers deep, so it takes up a lot of real estate. Hey, good job, Raiden. You actually killed it for once. Usually Raiden gets killed by the plasma. I feel like there's something else. I feel like I'm forgetting something that was given in the set. What was it? What was it? No, I don't know. Oh, it's this jerk. Right, this guy. And spotlights. And missiles. I hate Mantis so much. But that's all the stuff that we got. We're going to take a look in the actual levels, do a little bit of gameplay, see how it functions in media res, in the environment, so to speak. But we're going to take a look at Act 1 introduction, and we'll see you there. See ya! Alright, so here we are in I gotta get resume the game. Here we are in the introduction. It's Act 1. I had to pause it because it starts like in media res. Gotta get out a sticker here. Oh, fudge. Okay, there we are. This is one of the things we can see because we're playing on the PS4, so the intro's a little bit different on the PS3. It's a little bit more obvious in the battle damage, but I really like this whole setup, the way that they, when you first go through it, and it's just a cutscene, or at least as well as a cutscene could be done in LBP 1, which was like not spectacular. But then you come back through the second time, and you've got like all these you got all this like shooting gallery that you get to do here, and pick up the last couple of prizes to get the Booty Master, the get all the prizes deal. Trophy. Hi, I can talk. But it gives you something kind of interesting to do. It gives you a reason to go back to this little bit of cutscene, because it is relatively short. We're going to be wrapping this up in like just a second. I don't know, and it's something we'll maybe talk about a little bit more in the hub, but like I don't know how to figure out if you've gotten all of the prizes. Like, I have gotten all the prizes. That's not like really an issue, but I don't know how you actually track that, because some of the things you hit give you points, and some of the things that you hit give you prize bubbles, and I don't know if it's just like randomly allotted, because you could do simple randomization in LBP 1, not particularly well, but you could actually do it, or if there's like specifically things that you're supposed to hit. And even playing through on a completely fresh file, and it wasn't really easy to tell what it was giving me what. That's something I should do. I go back, I got it on video, so I go back and check, but anywho, that's Act 1, Introduction, Metal Gear Solid DLC, and we're going to be hopping over to the VR training in just a mo, so we'll see you there. Alright, so here we are in Act 2, VR training. It started a little bit in media res, got the race going. I love this level. I think this is a really, really well done level, but I love it when we would get things that would... hi, Brain! Hi, Brain! I love it when we would get sticker switches that actually did relatively significant changes to levels, and it happened so infrequently. There's not really like a lot of levels that pulled it off like that. There's no music, and I don't know why, because there should be music. I just played this. I actually went and re-downloaded everything on the PS3, which was a whole pain in... Oh, fudge! Oh, we didn't die. Good. It was a whole pain in the butt. Let me tell you, it was a whole pain in the butt. It kind of sucked. But my memory is really crappy. But I was sure that there was music in this section. What? Isco? Like, the whole reason I downloaded it, I replayed through it, was so that I could do a compare and contrast, like, what was different about the LBP PS3 version and what was the same. And one thing I can say that is the same, though, the PS3 version looks much cleaner. It's something about... I gotta ask Supum, because Supum knows this, and we've talked about it on stream before, but there's something about, like, the rendering that they used, or something, I don't know, it's techie stuff, but, like, LBP 1 looks so glycerin clear, it's so beautiful looking at the game, and it's not like LBP 3 or 2, because, like, the changes started in 2. It's not like they're bad looking games, because they certainly aren't, but they look very much like other games as far as, you know, the pop of the colors and everything, whereas like on the PS3 it is just gorgeous. LBP 1 is just absolutely gorgeous on PS3, so that is one thing that is definitely different. And so you end up getting things where, and this is something I think that was changed in LBP 3, not because of consoles, but just because of LBP 3. The lighting is a lot darker in the Little Big Planet 1 version, so the electricity isn't quite as distracting, and it stands out much more cleanly against like the darker black of the backgrounds. And that's something that I've noticed, like electricity hazards are kind of uggo in LBP 3. The VR material as well, like the VR material is a lot brighter in LBP 3 than it is in LBP 1. You gotta kind of dicky around a little bit with lighting settings to get it looking really nice, although you definitely can. I mean, if you played Kronos' VR Survival Challenge level, which is inspired by the Metal Gear Solid pack, oh fudge, well, we'll maybe talk about that more when we get back, but we need to move on to Act 3, which is the mission, and we'll see you there. Alright, so here we are in Act 3, the mission. Once again, I kind of started it off a little bit media res, so we get the race. I think we're getting to the point where we're not going to be able to finish all of the levels within the 3 minutes, and that's okay, but it is that time. We're going to see how fast we get through this race, not screw anything up. We're getting into levels that are... 3 and 4 are a little bit complicated for me because I think they're really good, and something that we'll talk about when we get back and we do like breakdowns is I do think from a level design perspective and a presentation perspective, like Metal Gear Solid is probably my favorite kit. Like, it is really, really good, but you get into areas like this and, you know, it's drawing off of real world stuff, and that's something I do want to talk about when we get, you know, when we go back to the hub, when we do the breakdown a little bit more, that it is a little bit uncomfortable, and it's kind of a shame because we don't really have anything Middle Eastern-y, you know, Middle Eastern-esque to present with. And I think that's like an area that deserves to get a little bit of focus in games, but it's always focus in like this kind of style where it's a war, you know, and things are battle damaged, and that's not really great. But like if we can briefly momentarily keep this to just strictly game qua game, and like I love the layout of this level. I think that, again, I think it's presented very strongly. I think that the material sets are really good. There's a nice little bit of secret over there to the left that we're not going to get because I do want to try to get as much of this done as possible in the 3 minutes, but that actually gave me trouble the first time, I'm sure, but like this time as well when I was doing recordings for the archive, and I was like, there are three more prizes, and I have like no idea where they were, and they're just tucked away, hidden in a really well done spot. Like, there's a lot of really good from level design in this level, but yeah, using the Middle East as a theme in this world is in a war kind of perspective, it's kind of it's a bit of a lot, and I don't know how I feel about it, and it's a shame because I want to be like, Metal Gear Solid's a great pack. Even with the servers down, I still recommend it wholeheartedly, but there's gonna be that asterisk on it because it's just, you know, kind of messy. But oh wow, like yo, straight up, like just on the dot. Love it, love it. But we are gonna have to go. We'll move on to the level factory, leave the mission behind, and we will see you there. See yas. Alright, so here we are in the level factory, and so the whole conceit behind this DLC pack is cute, but also kind of we'll talk about that a little bit more in the hub. But oh fudge, oh god, that was a great dodge on my part. Didn't even mean to dodge like that. That, you know, liquid revolver, liquid snake, who I think is inhabiting the body of Revolver Ocelot. I never played Guns of the Patriots, so like I don't know. I'm a fake gamer. I'm a fake Kojima fan. I'm not a Kojima fan, so I guess I'd have to be a fake Kojima fan. He's wants to be the most hearted creator in LBP, and so he has created a factory that mass produces copy-paste levels and wants to get all the hearts, which is, you know, we've talked about this before, but it is kind of, I feel some ways about that, because on one hand it's like Media Molecule calling out the community, but on the other hand it's like, yo, but you gave us these tools, like you let this happen. How are you gonna be going and blaming on us? And also, like, so this kit comes out in December of 2008, and You got, when is... Little Big Planet comes out in October 2008, so it's like, it's only 2 months. So they must have had, like, this idea in production before the problem was actually, like, a problem in the community. Maybe it's something that they saw in the beta release? Because I don't know when the beta release came out, but it would have been obviously previous to this, so maybe they had like a lot of copy paste in that as well. One thing, so about the changes in lightings and the laser beam bits here, and they do look a lot different in the LBP1 version, and it is a little bit of a shame because they look really, really good. Like, everything looks so good in the LBP1 version. But that's just the way that it be. Yeah, I wish that I could record off of... Oh, fudge! Yeah, okay, like, okay, I thought I was gonna be able to dodge back in, but clearly that was not the case. I should have taken care of this thing first. God, I lost my train of thought. Thanks a lot, jerk, for killing me. Now I don't know what I was talking about. I have no idea what I was gonna say. I wish I could do side-by-side recordings, is what I wanted to say, because it's very stark. Like, it's very clear and obvious, but oh, crumbs. Well, we're gonna kill this dude. You know, we might as well just, like, finish it, because we're, like, right at the end. So, why don't you stop? I did not hit the button to stop it, and now I'm screwed. I've also lost my train of thought. Like, what's the purpose of giving extra time if you don't know what you're gonna be saying? No, but it would have been nice if I could put in video footage from the OG and put in video footage from the LBP3 version and kind of show you what the differences in the versions are, because they are very, very clear in the Rex fight as well. But we cleared the level. We need to move on to Act 5, and we'll see you there. All right, so here we are at the Rex fight. And, well, I actually started a little bit late. Hi! Wanted to queer up the stickers a little bit before we get into it. Now, the Rex fight is definitely different in, from LBP1 and LBP3. I feel like there's bits that aren't moving properly in it. We see it when the third weak spot pops up, and it doesn't quite reveal it, like something is not moving the way it's supposed to in that bit, but also, like, I don't know if the emitters changed or the speed of the plasma changed because of changes in oh fudge, we already blew that up. So anyways, the whole point of the matter is, like, it's a lot harder on Metal Gear Solid 1. It shoots down into the safe spots a lot more often. And that's, like, kind of an issue. It's kind of a props. So now this bit here, this middle bit here, and see, I would already be dead. You can't. The bit that you're supposed to shoot, you can see it's the VR bit. That's supposed. Oh shoot! We almost got blasted over top of it. That would have been funny as hell. That's supposed to drop down more to make it a clearer target. Also, one of the small things, but this comes up a lot, is that you can see all those tags along the bottom of the field. Now, that doesn't change anything gameplay-wise, but it's definitely, those are not visible in the OG version. There's a lot of things about this fight that are just not as good in LBP3 as they are in LBP1. The laser spread here is way faster in LBP1, and I don't know, it's like fast now, I understand, but it's a lot. Oh shoot! Oh, there goes the ace. I mean, I've already got the ace on this, but you can play it really safe and just kind of just do hops and 1 or 2 hits a piece, but oh my god, it's so boring. It's such a boring fight if you play it safe. But it's also, like, it's really awkward to get up on top of that. I kind of hate it. Please! There we go! See, easy peasy. Was that in under 2 minutes 30 seconds? I don't know. Also, like, for the Speedy Executioner, I don't know if that's from start of level or start of fight? Like, when is that actually being tracked? But we did it. I feel like there was more I wanted to say. I probably will talk it more in the VR section about how this kills my wrist. Like, my hand hurts so much. No! You destroyed my level creation machine! You've ruined my plan to become the most hearted creator in all of Little Big Planet! All I wanted was to be loved! Or something? I don't know. Because, like, in the game, it's all about controlling warfare, and warfare is an economy, and it's really kind of messy that this is an LBP3 thing. An LBP thing. But we're gonna have to talk about that when we go back to the hub. We're gonna do the VR section, and then we'll be done. But let's hit the VR. Hit the bricks. Hit the VR. Bricks. Bricks in VR. Alright, so here we are in the VR challenge, and I hate it. Like, it's a well-done challenge, although after playing Kronos's VR extravaganza, and I, again, wish that I could import video files. I mean, I can import video files, but I have no way to chop video on my laptop. To side-by-side with that would be pretty darn cool, but unfortunately we cannot. It's a great level, though, and I will put in a overlay, or I'll get Ed to put in an overlay. The episode number, so you can at least see it. See me fail at it. I did a very poor job of it. Now, we want to get, as a goal, as many points as possible. No, but more seriously, we want to get 3,790? And it is tedious, and oh my god, do my hands hurt. One interesting thing here, you can see, if you look closely, I'm not tap shooting anymore, even though it kills my DPS, just because it's killing my hand. So we'll just have to try to survive. You can see that there's tags on the plasma, so they're actually saved objects being spit out by emitters. And, well, I mean, plasma's being spit out by emitters, but you know what I mean. They made their own plasma. They ginned up their own plasma with hookers and booze. Hookers and blow? Hookers and blow. Which, hey kids. Oh, fudge! Darn it, see, that's what happens, you start talking about hookers! We love hookers. We love sex workers in this house. We support them 100% and fully. But you can see that those tags are on there, and I really would love to know, like, where they're going. Like, what is the purpose of those tags? They're green tags. There's no... Like, there were no contact... There were no contact sensors in LBP3. In LBP1, oh my god, like, I can talk. There were no contact sensors in LBP1, so, like, a tag that was touching something isn't... There's gotta be, like, a tag sensor, but how would you make the range big enough? I don't... Like, what is it attached to? I know that there's a bar at the end of the screen, and by the end of the screen, I mean the bottom of the screen, which is kind of like an end. Like, it's the... Oh, fudge you! I know that there's a bar there. I don't know if the bar is strictly timing, or if it's tracking something else. Like, it would be weird if it was tracking number of shots, right? Okay, so it's gotta be time, right? Because it was moving when we weren't doing anything. So what's being counted with these tags? I need to know. Oh god, oh fudge, oh god, oh fudge. Well, we'll do this until I die, which probably won't be that long. I'm not very good at this because, as we've established, it's quite painful. Don't get old, but in fact do get old, because if the opposite of getting old is dying, and I don't want anybody to die. I can't turn off the frickin' alarm because, oh fudge, this alarm is gonna drive me up the wall. Oh my god, people, this is just, everything is pain. And because everything is pain, and you've been listening to like a lot of stuff, you've been listening to me talk a lot, so we're gonna have a bit of a musical intermission before we actually go back to the hub. Gonna do a musical interlude where you could go and make a sandwich as long as your sandwich making is under 1 minute 30 seconds long. So maybe have I should put that you should have materials for sandwiches on hand before watching this video, so you can just slap them together, and then you can have a sandwich when we're doing the breakdown. like the mental breakdown, which is me crying. I'm not gonna cry. I probably won't. I'm not gonna cry over Metal Gear Solid. That would be weird. Like it's a complicated feeling I have about this DLC, but it's not one that's moving me to tears. That would be quite unusual. Oh my god, this alarm has got to stop though. I hate it. I hate the fact that, like, this is the one where we're doing really, really well. Is the one where I got the alarm going in my fucking head, and I can't do anything about it because I'm stuck killing things. You know, which is, like, that sounds like a serial killer thing to say. And I am not a serial killer. I'm not even, like, a single killer. Oh! Good! Thank you! Thank you, we're dead. I think I've got, like, new neighbors. They must hate me, because I am so loud. But we're gonna have a bit of a musical intermission. You can take a deep breath and you can relax. It's going to be very relaxing. It's going to be very good for everyone. And then after the musical intermission, you'll see us at the hub, and we'll see you there. See yas.
Take up the reflection, the ruthless obsession, the burning sensation of a dying land. The end is arriving with all time surviving. A time is a bastard, and death is a cure. Hold back the tears, hold back the tears, hold back the tears. The world ends with us. Hold back the tears, hold back the tears. Time is a bastard, the present's a cure. Oh my God! Start the lights on, pray to your government. Oh my God! Start the lights on, pray to your government. The head is a fraud, the head is a fraud. Time for the bastard and the roots are undone. The head is a fraud, the head is a fraud. Time for the bastard and the roots are undone. Earth is on fire, your hands turn to dust. Time is a bastard, there's nowhere to run. Oh my God! Start the lights on, pray to your government. Oh my God! Turn the lights up, pray to your government. The head is a fraud, the head is a fraud. Time is a bastard, and the roots are undone. Earth is on fire, your hands turn to dust. Time is a bastard, there's nowhere to run.
And we're back, and that was a lot. I didn't mean for the VR challenge to go on quite as long as it did. It always seems to work out that way, though. Before we get too deep into, like, the level stuff, and I did want to mention a few really quick things. One, the band that we just listened to, thotcrime, and I found out while I was making this episode that back in December, their drummer, Homler, passed away, and it was too late to change the music, although I don't think I would have. thotcrime has meant a lot to me. Their music has meant a lot to me. It's very aggressive trance music, and it's been a big deal in my life, and so that did hit me pretty hard, but I did want to mention it because it feels like it would have been weird if I didn't. To get us kind of back on track, the other thing that I wanted to mention was I said in the material section at the beginning that the gecko outer skin material, that you couldn't use a material tweaker on it, and that was not entirely correct. You can use a material tweaker on it, the bevel remover. It'll take away the wrapping, and it leaves you with it looks like the gecko armor material, but just green. It's still nice and it still does something. It's sort of the deformities, but it doesn't really kind of address what I was thinking of. But those points that I wanted to mention. To take a look at our levels, and this is kind of where I came down on the levels. A orange diamond for the survival challenge, yellow squares for Act 1 and Act 5, green circles for 2, 3, and 4, but with asterisks on 3 and 4. Now to start with the survival challenge, and look, honestly, I have never really found survival challenges to be enjoyable at all. Aside from Kronos' Virtual Returns, which I will always talk up, they're always just kind of tedious to me. I never really enjoyed having to play for certain scores in LBP 2 to get prizes, because I'm a completionist and I want to have everything. The score here, 3790, and that's a lot. It takes like forever, and it's just like, I appreciate that it kind of showed what you could do in that format, and it does a good job of doing that, but I just did not really enjoy it personally at all. Act 1, and I do really like Act 1, I like that old school style of cutscene that we really couldn't do cutscenes in LBP 1 the way that we would be able to in 2 and 3. So the way they pulled it off there I thought was quite good. The fact that you go back and replay it in that kind of shooting gallery format, and I thought that was really cool, although it is, as I mentioned, a little bit tough to figure out like what exactly you are supposed to be shooting to get all of the prizes, but it's a short enough level that like having to replay it a couple of times isn't really that big of a deal. Act 5, and I really do like the Rex fight. I think it's fun, I think it's engaging, it's a really cool design. It suffers from being in LBP 3. It's really best played in LBP 1. The lack of a firing arc where it doesn't shoot down quite as often, and it really takes away a lot of the tension of the game. Now, of the fight, I do realize that that's something that only LBP 3 players are really going to run into, but at this point in the game's life cycle, most players that engage with that level are probably going to be playing it through LBP 3, but if you've got a chance to play it through LBP 1, I do recommend it. Now, one thing that is present in all versions of the fight, though, as I've mentioned, that wall in the final section, and I feel like it's just a little bit too high. I know that I've got a bad habit of jumping too close to walls, and if you hit the wall, that you'll lose your momentum, and that does screw up my jump, so some of that is probably on me, but I feel like it's just a little bit too difficult to get up on top of there to actually engage with the fight, and you end up missing your window a little bit too often for it to be really enjoyable to me. Moving on to Act 2, and Act 2 is probably my favorite of the bunch. Like, one thing I really appreciate the fact that it is a solid tutorial. It'll teach you how the paint gun's going to be used. It seems kind of silly now, 15 years later, but when it was new to have something like that to kind of work players through what this new ability was going to be, it was definitely appreciated. But the fact that you go back into it with the Foxhound sticker and it's really markedly changed from the first time that you play it, and that's really, really cool. It's something that we rarely see, and I can totally understand that from when I did the flags level and having to kind of design every section 2 times to account for the different versions in the level when players could switch on the fly, and to do that, that's a lot of work. The Act 2 is relatively short, so it probably made it a lot easier to implement that kind of idea, but it's just really cool how different it is the second time through. Now with Act 3 and 4, and it said there's an asterisk on them, but I really love the gameplay in both of the levels. The stealth section in Act 2 is really fun. I think it could have stood to be just a little bit longer, but it's not too short. Like, I appreciate that we get a good idea of how that stealth is supposed to work. I really like that there's a little bit of paintinator platforming that we talked about before, where you got those dissolve blocks. I thought that was really neat. In Act 3, the implementation of secrets that you would have to, you've got to search around for to get those prizes at the end of it, I thought that was really cool. The elevator of death is super fun. Like, I really enjoyed that section as well. Now, the asterisk for both of these levels is that they are leveraging that quote-unquote Middle East theming in the environment, and that's introducing some ideas and aspects that I don't really know if LBP can sustain. I don't know that they fit really well in LBP, and they do make them, particularly right now, a little bit uncomfortable to play, so there's that. But to look at the set as kind of an overall, an overview of the entire thing, and on the good side, this is really just a very solid set. We've got 5 strong story levels and the VR challenge, and you're looking at between 20 to 40 minutes worth of gameplay, and good, well-designed gameplay. Excellent material set, pretty good deco set, mixed bag on the stickers, and the stickers, yeah. I know that people complained out on the LBPC archive. I was reading, people complaining about not having all of the costumes in the set, and I kind of understand, because they were really cool costumes. That full set of costumes is really neat, but at the same time, it's like the set was only $6, so that's a pretty great value proposition if you're going to be honest about it. Also, just the fact that it introduced the Paintinator to the community, and the community did a lot of really neat things with it. I don't know if they used it, quite with as much range as I would have liked, but I certainly didn't see every Paintinator level that was ever made. Could be I just didn't run into the ones that did. I ran into a lot of zombie survivals, and people really seemed to love those. And the introduction of the Paintinator and the paintball gave ammunition, so to speak, to Hirunda, who is a creator who I've loved having in my life. He's a really great guy, and who knows, would he have been creating as much as he did if he didn't have the paint to work with? I can't say. But yeah, like it's really an overall very good set. As to the bad, and it's not too much bad, but one thing that has come up a number of times is just the transition from LBP 1 to LBP 3. It doesn't treat the set particularly well, not as badly as other level kits, but it definitely is affected. It plays so much smoother, and it looks so much nicer natively in LBP 1. And again, like, if you can play it in LBP 1, I certainly would recommend that. The branding in the set, it's not as bad as like Marvel. The Marvel branding is just absolutely awful, but the branded stuff here is not particularly great. It's certainly not my cup of tea. It's nothing I would ever find myself using, and it just seems like wasted space, to be perfectly honest. The story doesn't sit super well with me. Now, I know that this is a bit tongue-in-cheek on MM's part, but it's like they gave us the tools and they gave us the incentive, through the trophy system, and then they turn around and be like, oh, but like don't copy paste levels. That's bad. That's wrong. You're doing it wrong. And it's like, we're using the tools that you gave us, and it seems like it's just a little bit like, I mean, it's kind of like Lisa feeling a little bit salty. It's like, what the hell, yo? You basically just prodded people into doing this, and then you're gonna like shake your finger at them? I know it's kind of jokey, but also it's kind of an asshole thing to do, if you ask me, just a little bit. But yeah, like all those bad points are relatively minor bad points. They're not super bad. They're just a little bit annoying. We are going to go into the ugly, and I should warn folks that we are going to be talking about some real world stuff, some fairly serious stuff, talking about war and presentation, and my language may get a little bit more salty, because these topics do tend to rile me up just a little bit. But to go into the ugly, and it's capitalism, it's colonialism, it's white supremacy, it's... I kind of want to ask, like, what the fuck? Media Molecule, why though? Like, why is this the quote-unquote Middle East? And that's like an issue in and of itself, and we talked about this. It's like, kind of basing this stuff on Morocco, and the Middle East, it's a whole other freaking continent. Like, there's a continent in between Morocco and the Middle East, and now I want to think that that's like a copied homework error. That Kojima's team did research in the Middle East, and they used that to build their stuff, and then MM kind of took those ideas and they ran with it, and probably, but also, like, MM really doesn't deserve a lot of credit here, because they've generally been pretty awful when dealing with other cultures and how those other cultures are presented. We could just look at the history pack, and you got China, you got a Japanese warrior that's dancing in front of a Chinese wall, and it's like, okay, well, at least in that case they were kind enough to label the stickers that these are Japanese and these are Chinese. But then you go over to the Native American section, and you got teepees and totem poles, and those are made by completely different people. And they're all labeled as Native American. There's a sticker labeled Native American tree. Like, what the hell does that even mean? What does that even mean? Like, you could have at least done just like a little bit of research, chosen like one tribe that did, you know, one First Nations tribe that did totem poles and put that name on it, and then one First Nations tribe that did teepees and put that name on it. But it's like, they're all Native Americans, I guess, because they're all on the same continent. And I could get hot just on that alone, but I want to set that aside, because while that is an issue, it's a secondary, kind of a secondary issue to what I kind of feel like is like the bigger issue here. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, why this setting for this story? I dig. Look, I can dig that, you know, a Metal Gear Solid DLC pack was a Metal Gear Solid 4 DLC pack was pretty much inevitable. Looking at Blazing Victini's Iceberg video, and it talked about how in the Milestone 5 build that they had like a shotgun implemented that they were going to bring in. So they're already thinking of like projectile type of weapons. And you know, Metal Gear Solid 4 was the big shit in 2008. That was the big deal. And we know that LBP has always been thirsty for like licensed crap. And I mean, that's come back and bit them in the butt, because all that stuff had to be delisted because they lost the license to Marvel and they lost the license to the Disney stuff. But like the vast majority of stuff that they put out was licensed. So you put those three things together, and yeah, we were probably going to get a Metal Gear Solid pack. And that's not the worst thing in the world. Like, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad decision, and that you couldn't do some kind of Metal Gear-y stuff in LBP. But like, why though would you choose like the Middle East specifically? Because that's what you named all your stuff. Like, you are clearly trying to evoke the Middle East in this pack, and like, that's a real fucking place with like real fucking people, and whose lives have been very seriously impacted by warfare. And a lot of warfare that, like, we, at least as Americans, I know that Media Molecule's not an American company, but Britain's got had their fingers historically in the region, so there's that. But like, that we, the West, have been, you know, kind of imposing or encouraging in these places, and that we're gonna take those images, and we're gonna take those scenes, you know, the bombed out buildings and the tanks in the streets, we're gonna take those, evoking like real world things that are happening to real people, and we're gonna marry it to a story about spamming levels. And you see why that's kind of a fucking problem, don't you? You see why that might be kind of a little bit of an issue. And it's like, they even, like, they allude to the story. Shout outs to Hive and Supum for kind of like walking me through what Kojima was trying to do with Metal Gear Solid 4. I really didn't have any background on it. I did do some research afterwards, you know, reading up on it myself, but I really appreciate that they took me on a walkabout through what's going on here, and Kojima's trying to tell this story, which was timely at the time, 2008, you know, private military corporations and how they were being used in the region and destabilizing things and giving an anti-war message. And you could make an argument as to whether or not, you know, just like, can you really make an anti-war war movie? Like, can you make an anti-war war game? Because like, these are visceral experiences, and we're not in them. We're vicariously experiencing it, and vicarious experiences like that are kind of thrilling. They're kind of exciting, especially with games, because we're incentivized to kind of like be in there but not be in danger. And so the explosions can be exciting, and the explosions can be fun, and it's like, can you still take away a message of anti-war from that? But like, I see where Kojima was going with that, and I don't doubt Kojima's sincerity in that. And MM references that in Act 1, where they set up that story. God knows why. And then they just completely drop it. And they keep the setting that has that very deep emotional meaning, but they couple it with this fluff about liquid revolver wants to be the most hearted creator. It's like, why would you do that? There are stories, it would be difficult, but there are stories that you could tell with a presentation style of LBP that is still using, if you must, that is still using those types of images. You could do a story about how kids use play to contextualize and work through traumas that they can't understand because they're too big and too out of context for them. Like, that would require a really deft hand. But it wouldn't be impossible, but they didn't do that. And the thing is, like, this could have all been avoided. It's funny because Soup and I, we were talking about this, and it kind of came to the same conclusion separately, but it's like, why not Shadow Moses? That's part of Metal Gear, that's part of Metal Gear Solid 4. It's a setting right there. And it's not connected to any real-world kind of thing. It's a military base that you've already got materials and decos that support that type of environment. You could put it in there, no problem, and you could gin that up as this is the secret base of the level spammer. And it's like, it's not touching on, it's not butting on any of these kind of real world, very serious issues. And going back to Blazing Bikini's iceberg video, is like, they had mocked that up. They had put together a Shadow Moses theme. It was scrapped, but it was there, so somebody was thinking along those lines, and they decided in the end to go with this Middle Eastern theme, which they definitely ought not to have done. And I want to believe, I don't know, I'm not an investigative journalist, and it's a shame because this is something I really would like to know, because this is a big question for me. It's like, I want to believe that they had, they'd gotten the call and said you could do this license, they'd put together their ideas, Shadow Moses was on the table, and the money men were like, no, we want something that synergizes more with the advertising of Metal Gear Solid 4, and that's using this Middle Eastern stuff, so we want you to use Middle Eastern stuff. And the multimedia said, well, okay, what are we going to do? A job's a job. If we want to be able to do this, want to have the license, then we're going to have to work with this. And that's what I want to believe. But what I do believe is that probably nobody really thought very deeply about it. That some people may have done, but either felt that they could not bring it up, or felt that it was not big enough a deal to bring up. And this just did not dawn on them, the implications of what they had done. And that's understandable to an extent, but it shows why it's so important, like how we are presenting places and why we are presenting places. The Middle East and North Africa, again, two separate regions that are often conflated in the West, but they are generally have been presented violent places and war zones. And it gets to the point, look, when I was a kid, in the Transformers cartoon, there was a place that was based on Libya, North Africa, not Middle East, but based on Libya. It was called Carbamia. This is a real thing. This has been a problem in Western media presentations of that entire, the Swana region for as long as I've been alive, and it becomes this kind of background radiation of quote-unquote knowledge, or more specifically, background radiation of misinformation, that, you just start to assume that this is the way that these places are. This is kind of the natural state, the way, swamps have got gators and forests have got deer, and the Swana region has got warfare and IEDs, and so you think, well, I got a game and I want to put some war stuff in the game, and well yeah, we'll just put it in the Mideast. Yeah, that's what it's like. Just put it there. It's like nobody's going to question it, and we don't. And I'm not saying that I'm any better. When I played this set, 15 years ago, 2008, way too late for me to have been like, I was 30 years old. Like, I should have been raising a lot more red flags at that point in my life, but like, I didn't really think that deeply about it. I didn't really say to myself like, well, hey, this is a fucking problem. You know, it took a lot of time and a lot of information and a lot more thinking than probably necessary in this fucking genocide that's going on in Palestine right now, which, yes, has the spark that's got me really hot about this, but yeah, like, it should. We should be really hot about this. It's kind of a mess. We consistently are presenting things in this way, and so then we end up with these images that filter down into media for, like, kids, and then they kind of walk away with that in the back of the brains, and they're not their kids, they're not thinking about it, but it just kind of becomes what they know of the world. It's all kind of a lot, you know, and choices were made, and I don't think that they were particularly good choices, but what's the takeaway here, folks? Like, what do I want you to take away from this? Two creatives out there, and when you are engaging with, you know, when you're telling stories, and you're using other cultures and you're using other people to tell those stories, then think about, like, what you are presenting and how you are presenting it, and if you are leveraging actual suffering in your stories. And I'm not necessarily saying that you shouldn't. Sometimes those stories should be told. They can be told even by people out of culture, but be careful with how you do it. Be thoughtful and respectful in how you do it. At least try to say something. Don't just make it fluff. That the folks that are experiencing this deserve at least that much. And to us who are engaging with, as put that away, put the ugly away for right now. For us who are engaging with, you know, these works in media, you know, these creative works, that we do need to kind of step back as well and think about what is being presented to us and what messages that we are taking away from it. And is there a bias? And is there, it doesn't have to be, like, I don't think that was malicious about this stuff. Even the stuff that really ticks me off, like we talked about, like with the history kit, like I don't think that there's malice here. I just think that it's negligence, it's thoughtlessness, and it's on us to be thoughtful. It's on us to kind of say, hey, what's the message here? What am I being taught by this? What am I taking away from it? Because we're taking away something. We always do. That's it. That's it. Folks, this has been a whole experience, and I don't know if and when I will be doing another one of these. This has taken up, like, so much brain space the past couple of weeks. Like, the building and all of that, that's been a joy. Like, it was hard, it was fiddly, there's a lot of work that went into the set, but, like, I love doing it because I love doing this stuff. Like, this is my squirrel nip. I love it. But, like, it was, like, a lot of work, but the kind of the mental space of me kicking over these stones and thinking about, like, you know, what do I want to say? What does this stuff mean? What do I say to you? What do I want you to take away from it? It's been a lot, and I don't know if I have it in me to do another one of these. Certainly not anytime this soon, and I don't know if there's anything that's got the hook that the Metal Gear set has for me. So, it'll be a while before we see something else like this. I kind of want to do something for the Move pack. I kind of want to do something for the Marvel pack. I'm definitely not going to do something for the Pirates pack. As much fun, and I'm not even joking, like, it would be fun to talk about water. But, like, there's no joy for me in the Pirates pack, and I just, like, I can't see myself devoting this much effort to it. So, but But we're almost at 60 minutes, and these videos only go to 65 on Share Factory, so I gotta wrap this up. Folks, I've had fun. Yeah, I've had fun. I always have fun bringing things to you, and I hope that you had fun watching it. I hope that you got something out of this, even if that something is only, hey, that was really, really great music. Go listen to Thoughtcrime. Give them money. But that has to do it. That pretty much does do it for us here at Disco About. So from me, Disco, here in Tokyo, to all of you out there, wherever you may happen to be, thank you, arigato, arigato, sayonara, see you, and ciao.